What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
7 years of college down the drain.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? Where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me. Yes, me, Keys Dan, at your event, corporate events, weddings, karaoke, video dance party. Oh man, you know I like me some video dance parties. Remember when MTV used to play music videos? Well, I set up some TVs and I play music videos, and you can dance along with the people on the videos, just like the good old days when MTV used to play videos. Does MTV even play videos anymore? What is MTV? All right, then. Today on the program, excitement. Speaking of MTV, I've been playing her music on Radio What for a long time now. Isha, Laurah, Wright is going to be talking to us in the next few minutes. So you have that to look forward to. Find out more about what Isha, Laurah, Wright is doing these days. This week's shows on Thursday, I'm doing the karaoke video dance party over at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas from 6 to 9. That is family friendly. Come on out. Have some fun. Have some good barbecue at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas from 6 to 9 Thursday night. And then on Friday from 8 until almost 2 in the a.m., come and do the video dance party karaoke jam at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Now that one is an over 21 type of event. So leave the kids at home. You know, put them with a good babysitter, and get yourself an Uber and come on over to the Rab and have a good time. They got a full bar. They got the kitchen that's open. They have a tournament, a pool tournament. Yeah, people are making money while they're hanging out at the Rab. Pool sharking. Dun-na, dun-na. If anybody says, hey, put some money on that, watch out. They could be a pool shark. They got 10 diamond class pool tables. Hey, that's what I've been told. I'm not sure what a diamond class pool table is, but it sounds pretty impressive to me. And then on the party patio, they got the shuffleboard and the foosball and the giant Jenga game and chess. So there's always something good to see and do while you're waiting to sing on the stage with little old me right here at the Rab on Friday night, 8 until almost 2 in the a.m. And then Saturday night, it's the karaoke finale, the karaoke championship of the world. All right, maybe just of Heber Springs, VFW, Heber Springs, Arkansas, the place to be on Saturday night. Come out. It's the karaoke finale. They've been doing a karaoke competition throughout the week, and they said, hey, Keys Dan, will you come on the 28th and be a part of our karaoke finale? Yeah, I'll do that. Happy to do that. Get to hear some good singers and have a good show in a nice room at the Heber Springs VFW. Yeah, happy to be there. Happy to do it. So excited to be back at the Heber Springs VFW on Saturday night, the 28th of September, from 8 o'clock until, I think it's going to be past midnight. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to end, but it's 8 o'clock until past midnight, probably 1 in the a.m., and then we close down, and I think the VFW stays open a little bit later. They just close down the big room and move everybody into the smaller room that has pool tables and full bar and all that right there at the Heber Springs VFW. So Thursday night at the Old Post Barbecue, Russellville, Arkansas. Friday night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. And Saturday night at the Heber Springs VFW in Heber Springs, Arkansas. All right. I think I've made you wait long enough. It's time to talk to Isha, Laurah, Wright. Calling Isha, Laurah, Wright now.
Laurah. How may I help you?
Hello, Isha, Laurah. Keys Dan, What Makes You Famous podcast. How are
Oh, great to hear from you. How are you?
Oh, super fantastic. Sounds like you have a lot of things going on right now, Isha, Laurah. Tell the people a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Well, thank you so much. I think the first way that people know who I am is that I've been in movies, and one of the movies I'm most famous for is a movie called Screwball Hotel, which is a comedy, and I play Miss Walsh, which is a leading role. However, within that role, I play a lot of different roles as well. And, of course, Arkansas knows me through your radio station because you play a lot of times one of my songs, my solo Miracle, that my kids were in the background of singing as well. And I thank you for that, by the way.
No problem.
So I'm a recording artist as well. And recently I've opened up a brand new 501c3 nonprofit foundation called the Isha Laurah Wright Foundation. And that's out of Hot Springs Village in Arkansas, of course, our very own. And I'm really excited about the plans for that in the future. We survive basically on donations and as well as subsidiaries that earn income for the nonprofit. And we partner with other nonprofits as well. So that's really fun. And we're allowed to receive donations from anywhere in the world, as well as help anyone anywhere. It doesn't just have to be in Arkansas. So right now I happen to be in Roanoke, Virginia, helping to make positive difference here. And one of our very own presidents that is from Arkansas, Bill Clinton, and his wife Hillary, their cousins live here right now as well and have a restaurant. And although they're not a nonprofit, they've allowed me to donate very expensive designer clothes at their restaurant, which they've made available to anyone who needs them, the homeless or anyone in need, which is fantastic of them, of course. And that's Keith and Karina, my good friends. And that's been very exciting. I can't wait to get back to Arkansas, though. And if you've been following me on social media, you'll know that.
Yeah, you've had a journey, Isha, Laurah, and I don't know how you. Where did you start? How did you end up with this 501 in Arkansas? And you know where were you born? Where are you from, Isha, Laurah?
Oh, well, thanks for asking. Although I was born in New York, in West Islip, which is where the movie The Great Gatsby takes place, by the way, a classic. I actually did not really live there. I was just born there, and then my parents moved me very quickly. So although I am from New York, I don't have that typical accent people expect of someone born in New York. And over 20 years ago, I'm 50 now, 51.
Oh, I'm
over
50
20
myself.
Years ago. What?
I'm 50 as well.
Awesome sauce. See, we are old enough to appreciate so much history that's gone on because we've actually lived through it in the United States, and it's really wonderful. So we're kind of that age that we need to pass the positive parts of our history on to our future generations because they are our future, and the future of the United States is the future of the world because the United States is such a superpower. So it's really important that we get our positive messages across. And that's one of the reasons that Bill and Hillary Clinton's private security and USA security that they're given, I won't say their names of the security, of course, but they invited me to come to Arkansas because they wanted me to carry on some of that, not only the history, but I had also made a lot of money in housing and buying and selling, renting out real estate properties, and also renting out to Section 8, so helping the homeless and helping those in need with housing. I had already had a 501c3 nonprofit in Florida, and they said, oh, please will you come to Arkansas and do the same thing and other things that we see you do. And they said, even we noticed that your daughter, for example, and it's genetic, our IQs are off the charts. And so that means we're very, very smart, not to be arrogant, but in the testing, for example, My daughter joined Mensa, the High IQ Society, so it was verified by all of the right people. And they say we are in the top 1%, or actually less, of the smartest people in the world. So that's not to brag at all. In fact, to me, I feel that it is a gift that it obligates me to give back to the communities and to America, where I was born and had the chance to experience having this high IQ. So they said, we noticed your daughter, for example, is in college and taking fully accredited classes in college at only age 10. And by the way, she ended up getting her associate's degree at a fully accredited university at age 15, which is usually unheard of.
Wow.
It's not impossible, though. For example, Kay Panabaker, who's a fellow movie star as well, and I've worked with her with Disney Channel and things like that in the past in general, and with my kids. She also got an associate's degree at around age 15.
I've been watching her on The Flash almost every day.
I love that series.
Yep.
So awesome. The Heart of a Hero is what I have, so I always love superhero type genre. And so that's part of actually my heart that goes into this nonprofit, because part of what we do is bringing also the education to people. And Hillary's people had said to me, please teach the world how you're doing this. How are you a movie actress and a model with a top supermodel photographer, and yet you're educating your kids where they're getting this top-of-the-line education, which is usually unheard of? How do you balance it all, and how are you doing it? And so part of what I've done is I've been writing different curricula, and in the meantime, I'm sharing on social media different tips in homeschooling, because a lot of celebrities and their kids are into homeschooling. And sometimes the homeschooling is balanced with actually letting the kids go to a regular school at times as well, so that they still get a social life and so that they grow healthy in the social areas as well. And so I've been sharing a lot about different ways that I homeschooled and how I balanced all of that with the proper social life. One of the things I loved was taking, when the kids were little, taking them to the Mid-America Science Museum right there in Arkansas. It's some of my fondest memories of their childhood are right there. So
I need to get there. Now, did you ever live Did you live in Arkansas for a while?
When I was asked to do the nonprofit in Arkansas, they said, even though you have a lot of real estate in Florida, like near Disney World and things like that,
sure,
they said, please come to Arkansas too, even if you make it kind of like a vacation home where once in a while you come here, even if you're traveling and have a second home or a third home, other areas. And that way, even online, you can still help us in Arkansas. Part of my foundation, the goal is with the housing, is also to help veterans. And one of the locations I recommend is Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it, you must look it up because online, because it's outstanding. It's almost like, to me, like living in Disney World, like the town of Celebration that Disney commissioned in the Orlando, Florida area. But it's even better than that, because there's so much more there. You can live and work and play. There's so much recreation and sports, and it's a gated community. So Celebration is not even gated. So there's even more security with that community. And the prices are very reasonable. There are very expensive prices as well for the real estate. However, you don't have to be a millionaire to live there, because there are prices that are affordable as well. And part of my mission with my foundation is to make that even more affordable. People have donated lots of land there to me, so I'm able to help people have those lots for little to no cost and for no profit. to the foundation and connect them with different builders that Hillary's people said are the top builders they recommend. So because they were in the White House, of course, they have the resources to research that. And so they're definitely right. And so that's the people I connect others with if they want to build a home custom made in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. I can help people anywhere else too as far as the housing, but that is the location I recommend. So if people feel that that's the fit for them, and if it is, I recommend they contact me to help them do that.
You know, even though I'm pretty close to Hot Springs, Arkansas, maybe 2 or 3 hours away, and I get to go to Hot Springs quite a bit to do events from time to time, I've had a lot of people tell me, hey, you know, I'm right over here in Hot Springs Village, come on over. And all the pictures that I see, I'm from the Florida Keys, but it reminds me kind of a fishing village in the Florida Keys. Very, very nice, just, laid back, kind of quiet, got a lot of water around it. It's not ocean water like in the Florida Keys, but it's a lot of lake water, so it's really pretty. How did you, it was a good idea to settle in Hot Springs Village for that matter, but, how did you get connected with the Clintons and how did you get connected with doing all this in Isha, Laurah?
Thank you, Daniel, so much for asking. I feel like we've been friends for years, and I've been friends with the Clintons and their family and also their security for years because in high school, I had amazing test scores, thankfully. And also, for example, in high school, I got straight A's and was on the honor roll, top 10% of my graduating class. And a lot of people might not realize when you do good in school and you really apply yourself, and I actually wasn't even applying myself the way I could have.
Wow.
But I still got to the top in high school. So that is noticed by the government. And the CIA is the most secretive agency in the United States. Right. However, there are some people, like our director, Gina Haspel, who do say that they are in the CIA. So that's how my name got on the CIA's list to start looking out for me to recruit me. Ooh. And I didn't know that at the time in high school. And so I got offered, I was into the arts really big. I had already been in a Pepsi commercial with Don Johnson, who at the time was one of the most famous stars in the first version of a TV show called Miami Vice, which you're old enough to remember. It's a classic.
Oh, I'm from Miami. I spent a lot of Friday nights in front of the TV watching Don Johnson.
So it was in the Super Bowl commercial, and this is before internet was out. So my face was unmistakably recognizable by everyone because it was pretty much the only thing that people had to watch on TV. There wasn't even many channels yet, and I think cable had just began to give an alternative. They didn't have the Disney Channel then yet or anything. So I was very popular in high school too and very famous. So it was natural for me to go in that direction and get those movie roles. And the CIA noticed me because, like I said, my test scores and my good grades in school. And so they said, you know, it's not often we tell the world someone's in our agency, but you're already a public face, so we might as well use you in our public area so that we can tell people who you are for us. And they said I could still do movies if I wanted, and I love cooking, so I've worked with Food Network, and they've let me do that recently in Los Angeles, California, and the Hollywood area, and Pasadena that has the Rose Bowl parade on TV, very famous. And so, for example, in 2016 and 17, I got to help film the movie La La Land. There's a picture of me with one of the stars, Ryan Gosling, on my social media with me and him fishing together, and that was taking time out in between filming that movie. I don't actually have a big role in that movie. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people that have big roles in other movies will be in the background, sometimes in others. So they call it being an extra. But I also was able to I told the CIA, I have the opportunity to be in this movie. I really want to. Please, can I? And I'll just do security from here, too, for you. And they said, okay, go ahead.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
was awesome. There's not a lot of times where we cross over like that, of course, with Hollywood. So, but it has been done. Like Shirley Temple was known for that as she got older and became an ambassador, of course, and known for being in the CIA, and was such an amazing childhood actress, even, and growing up in Hollywood, an amazing star. And of course, there is Julia Childs, who was on TV with her cooking show, and she's publicly known that her husband was an ambassador, and she joined the CIA when she was alive. So,
Wow.
So it is rare, but it does happen.
It seems like it does, Isha Laurah. You've had an exciting life. So far, so good. So where did you actually grow up and go to high school?
I went to high school. It's called New World School of the Arts now, and I was actually dual enrolled in college and in high school. So that's another reason to the fact that I got such great grades. It wasn't just in high school, it was in college at the same time. So I was on the honor roll in both college and high school at the same time.
But where?
So that was in Miami, Florida.
Miami, okay. I knew
and this
you'd
is
been to Miami at some
way
point.
back in the 80s. So this is before people even knew about, for example, the AIDS virus. I mean, there's so much history that's happened since then. And my mom, coincidentally enough, she went and applied for a job in television as well after I was in the Pepsi commercial in high school.
Neat.
And she got hired by the fire department there. And one of the fire departments, it's one of the largest in the world. So the security has to be one of the best because the population crowd control alone requires that. And so because the smarts runs in the family, of course, my mom qualified. And she became hired in their public division and ended up being in charge of the whole public information and public administration sector of that fire department. So she was often the one when there was, for example, if there was a bomb threat that the public needed to know about, she was the one that was interviewed by the media on television. So I also learned a lot because of that, what to say, what not to say, to protect America, and how to be diplomatic, you know, because that's kind of required with her job. So I was kind of apprenticed that way as well. I was used to waking up at 3 in the morning with her when she would be on call and there would be a bomb threat and we were notified. And so I'm used to keeping my cool when I hear about things like that. And I feel that makes me a good politician. I also graduated politics at Leadership Institute out of Arlington, Virginia.
Wow.
And my favorite place still, and where my heart is, I love everyone. I love all of America. But my favorite place is still Arkansas.
Really? That's great.
Home to me in my heart. Some people have criticized and say, "Oh, that's backwoods," and I say, "No. Have you even investigated online in the slightest? I mean, look at Hot Springs Village. It's a wonderful area to go fishing. Like you said, there's so many lakes there. There's the hot springs that come up out of the ground hot. It's amazing. So the pure water that comes from there, and it's been known to have presidents have vacation homes there, even way back in the 20s. It's on the website of the history of the town, of all of Hot Springs. And it's also very, very lively in other areas and very modern and up-to-date in other areas. So not just the peaceful, laid-back fishing community, there's so much more. Yet it is that peaceful, laid-back fishing community as well, where you can kick back and enjoy a time on the lake and forget about all of the problems in your life or what else is going on in the world and recharge and refresh.
Isha Laurah, from what I'm listening to you, and you have so many different facets, so many different ideas of things of how to put things into function. And I know this has got to be part of you working your mind out, because you say that you excelled in school, even though you didn't try as hard as you could have. But you are using your mind to help people. In particular, right now you're talking about hot springs. What other ways have you have you used your smarts, for lack of a better word, to help
thank
people?
you so much. That's so sweet of you to ask.
Please.
Yes, it is true, and I did say I didn't even really apply myself when I was on the honor roll in college and in high school at the same time. And even one of my teachers, she said, I'm giving you an A for your academics and an A for your behavior, of course. She said, but for effort, I'm giving you one step down, she says, because you're not even trying.
Aww.
So it was a real compliment is what she meant it to be. And I did feel that if I knew that the government does really watch students' grades, I would have applied myself even more and been like my daughter who got an associate's degree at age 15, because I definitely could have, and my dad even says that. And so now I feel like I want to make up for that by giving back even more, because I do have the opportunity to. A lot of things we do in the CIA, though I have a public job with the CIA, a lot of things we do is still private. So though I'm public, I keep a lot of things, of course, on the hush-hush, so I can't safely to America say everything we do. But if people have any idea, really, some of the stuff is more amazing than in the movies on espionage and intelligence and national security. People would be so proud of certain facets of the CIA if they could really know all of what's really going on. There's so many advancements. There's so many ways we make an impact in different areas of life without anyone even knowing it and without going into any detail. And if people knew some of it, even just a fraction more, they would be so proud of how their tax dollars are being spent. And no one's perfect, and no entity is perfect, no agency is perfect. It's not like there's not constantly improvement that I'd like to see personally. However, the flip side of that is the positive side. There's so much amazingness going on, and I've worked for the CIA for so many years now. I've been under different presidents that believe different politically, and I just make the best of what I can do with the resources and the time and the money that I'm given.
That is great to hear, Isha, Laurah, that you're out there helping to protect us and helping to get the word out that the CIA is here to protect us. They're not just spending money willy-nilly, and they're well, I could just say they're here to protect us. Now, tell me about the other facets of your life, the singing career. What came first, the singing or the modeling?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. As far as education, the singing came first. My mom said that she noticed when I was under 5 years old approximately that I would sing with the radio and I would sing on key, and a lot of kids don't do that automatically. And so she instantly got me ballet lessons and took me to ballet lessons, and she got me singing lessons. She even had a private singing tutor come into our home, and I remember being 3 years old, and the teacher has the piano there, and she's teaching me to sing the song, and she's teaching me choreography to go along with it. But I had already had ballet, which is so much more intricate. But I remember even at 3 thinking, this is so boring, this choreography. So I love musical theater, to sing, dance, and act. Some of the people I went to school with at New World School of the Arts ended up being famous. Celebrity Mia Michaels in the Step Up movies, for example. Very close friend. I used to go to her house for Christmas parties, even that close. So she's endorsed me. She's been a judge on TV, So You Think You Can Dance. And it's one of the #1 shows still today, and I love it. And I'm very thankful for that endorsement. Endorsed, notarized, and everything. So
that is
super.
And
one of my friends won awards for being on Broadway since going to school with her in New World School of the Arts as well. Katie Finneran, and she's been in television as well.
So when did you start recording the music that well, I guess I'm playing at least one song or two that on RadioWhat.com. When did you start actually getting serious about the music and singing and producing music?
In New World School of the Arts, they trained me in singing, dancing, and acting and broadcasting. So I was well trained in high school, but also even before that, I loved singing. So I was in the choir, for example, even in junior high school. And I got discovered just around the same time with the movies as I did in music. Louis Martinet, who's a Grammy Award producer in music.
I know him pretty well.
Stars like Vanessa Williams, who was one of our Miss Americas, and she does the voice of in a solo that she's famous for, a Disney movie, Pocahontas. And so he's an amazing producer. I produced this on my own, and I hired out. When you produce, you can hire out different producers under you, too, as well. So I hired top people to help me with that, and I'm so thankful for them. I was inspired to do that song, Miracle, with my children, and my daughter also has solos of that song as well that's out. I was inspired to do it when I was on the Disney Channel at the time that Hannah Montana was very popular. It's still popular, but it was actually still running, having new seasons and new episodes at that time. And so I was on the TV set with Hannah Montana and the Disney games, Disney Channel games, and that was in 2008, way back then. And I was so inspired by Miley Cyrus's song, The Climb, because it's so positive that I wanted to do a song like that with my children. And so that's what inspired me to write that, produce it, and sing solos, and then have my daughter sing solos. And my son, when he was little, same thing. He could, and my daughter too. They could sing right on pitch. I wouldn't even really have to teach them at all. No, honey, that's off key a little bit. Try again. You know, you can do it. They automatically had a knack for that growing up. So it was something fun for us to do, but to also get out a positive message at the same time, because basically the song's message is that no matter what you're going through and no matter how long it seems it's taking, the miracle is on its way.
Well, at the very least, it's a tender thing that you did with your children. You were able to sing with them and produce a song that was uplifting, Isha, Laurah, and you put it out to the world. And now, who knows how many people are getting uplifted by this song that you sang with your kids. And that's just something special. Even just for you and your children. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 children.
2, and then
they're adults now.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
I hope they move to Arkansas too someday. I hope they choose that because it's the right choice.
Are they still in Miami?
Well, I actually don't always say because, for example, although the CIA is very exciting,
right,
it is very, very dangerous, especially to be public.
Correct.
And there were times, for example, when I was in L.A. Filming La La Land, that the normal movie security guard that's not government was with me at about 2 in the morning, and we were in Echo Park, where that's one of the locations it was filmed and where the photo of me and Ryan Gosling, the star, is located at. And so at 2 in the morning, he said to me, the security guard said, you have your handcuffs, right, with you? And I said, yeah. And he said, because I'm not sure what's going on. There's a car that's pulled up, but it's 2 in the morning. No one else is really around but us, kind of just making sure it's safe for when the celebrities get here and the other ones. And he said, the car is just sitting there, and one of the doors is open. Ooh. Just sitting there with the door open. And I said, oh, my goodness. And he said, what? And I said, I don't know if it's for sure this or not, but the FBI does want the public to even know, especially in the high-populated areas like L.A. and Hollywood. Unfortunately, there's a bigger crime rate that goes along with bigger cities. Oh. And when they sit there with the door open and it's kind of unusual like that, a lot of times they're waiting to have someone else shove us in the car, Ooh. And then the others shut the door and the others drive it away and take off and kidnap us. And the gangs there are big into sex slavery, and they don't care if you're a celebrity. They don't care if you're CIA. They don't. have any respect for any human being, no matter who they are, even non-government. They just want to make their living like that, and they're sick people. So he said, how about I go get us coffee, and you sit in this vehicle and have the doors locked and wait for me here. And he says, we'll just stay in the car with the doors locked as we're doing security here. And so that's one of the trivia that I can say safely, because it actually helps the public to be safer, because they say knowing is half the battle,
right,
with crime or with anything. So if you're aware of the tactics when you go visit Hollywood, you can have fun and stay safe at the same time because you know what to look out for.
Absolutely, Isha, Laurah. It sounds like you've had some brushes with danger, and I'm glad that you stayed safe after all that. And was that in Hollywood, or where was that filmed? That
was Echo Park. Part of the movie was filmed in the Hollywood area and Los Angeles area. And Echo Park is actually so huge, it takes up more than one block. It's, for example, part of the park has a lake with a cute little fake lighthouse and little paddle boats that you can rent, and restaurant, and there's free fishing, and they throw fish in the lake, kind of like hot springs in Lake Cortez. They throw fish in the different lakes so that you're guaranteed to catch your fish. It's amazing. So it's fun fishing, and for the public to go for free because it's a park. So, of course, our parks are free. Our tax dollars pay for it.
Yeah.
And as people are enjoying that, this park in particular, it also spans across the other side of the Hollywood freeway, the 101 freeway.
Oh.
So it is that close to Hollywood, though it's technically considered Los Angeles. And on the other side of the freeway, there's a beautiful baseball diamond that people can play softball or baseball at, and it's wonderful. All of these free things. The Los Angeles Dodgers donated to over 39 parks, and I even asked the officials, will you please put Olympic-grade equipment, indoor and outdoor, at the parks? And they did. 39 different parks got top-of-the-line workout equipment, so now people can go to the parks, and they don't need a gym membership. They can work out for free, but it is also that dangerous at the same time. So there's a time where, for example, this is how people have to know to really watch their kids, though, when they're having fun in a place like that with such a large population. Of course, Halle Berry is a fellow actress that she's famous for, a movie where she plays a part where her son got kidnapped in the movie.
Oh.
And things like that do happen there, unfortunately, especially with the sex slave gangs. And they're so horrible that right in front of me, they went to take a boy, and right in front of my eyes in that very location, and my fellow authorities said to me, we can't do anything right now because they'll kill him. They had a knife to him. Oh, no. So we actually had to let the boy go and try to rescue him later. And he had to go through that ordeal of actually being kidnapped and screaming, and this precious little boy, really clean cut too, and not that a non-clean cut boy is not equally as important, but to drive the point home, this is how horrible that the flip side of the wonderful LA and Hollywood and the big cities is. And so the parent should have been right there with the boy, but the parent thought, oh, well, I can just let my son, go fishing a few feet away from me. It was just a few feet, maybe 10 feet away, 20 feet away, where the boy was still in view of the dad and of me. And literally about 15 huge guys walked over and made a circle around him. And they walked up with a fishing pole, and I thought, what do 15 guys need one fishing pole only for? That's just kind of weird, And so I had my eye on them to begin with, because that's unusual. Normally, if 15 guys are going fishing, more than one is going to have a fishing pole. So sure enough, they put a knife to this precious little boy, and it was horrible. So that is the harsh reality that people really need to be aware when they go vacationing in our wonderful areas like Hollywood and LA. And I'm so thankful that Arkansas does not have crime like that in the statistics of the research, which is one of the reasons I hope my kids decide to make it their home.
Well, that's terrifying, Isha, Laurah. You know, you go to the big cities, and yeah, there's probably millions and millions of good people there. And
yes.
Even if there's just those 15 that are not so good and have nefarious ideas in their head, that
yes.
could spoil it for everyone. And unfortunately, you said that they captured that boy. Was that boy ever recovered? Hopefully.
I actually did find the boy. I was part of finding him later on.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
That's a good end to the story right there.
Yes. And the gangs, I don't understand why they are so audacious and have such gall as to attempt to do things like this to people in America. And yet, when I observed them, I noticed that a lot of them do torture the others. So the gang member feels often if they don't put the knife to the little boy, then the knife's going to be put to them. And worse, because they won't just kill him and the pain's over with. They'll take off a finger. It's horrible. So that's how they control them so horribly once they get them in the gang, that some of them are actually victims themselves. They really feel they have no other choice than to stay in the gang until they are rescued. And so, of course, I encourage any criminal to be positive as far as go ahead and understand that the FBI is willing to make deals with people. And if they are willing to turn state's witness, state's evidence against the gangs, they will be protected. And the gangs try to put such fear into them that they won't, but they will. And just to hang in there and keep trying, if they're one of those that really in their heart, they're good, they want to do good, come out of that gang lifestyle. And for goodness sake, no one join a gang. Don't ever think the gang is your friend. They try to make the little boys even feel we're the ones that save you. We're the ones that protect you. We'll protect you from the other gangs because we have your back. We're like family. And they make them feel included. And people can go to church groups. They can go to different clubs and organizations, acting troupes even, and they can find that acceptance and that love there. They don't have to join a gang, and they should not. And please don't anyone join a gang if you're listening.
Well, Isha, Laurah, sometimes people feel that there's safety in numbers, and if you're in this inner city and you have a big gang, it's better to be in a group of friends than to not be. Sometimes it's dangerous. What if 15 guys come at you with knives while you're trying to fish? What do you think?
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Thank
and
you.
So many of people that are going to be listening to this podcast are probably from my social media, and they are in Hollywood. I have a lot of listeners in Roanoke, Virginia, as well as in Arkansas and Miami, Orlando, different areas, New York, Colorado Springs, where I also trained for the Olympics there as well as in LA.
Oh, that's another facet. We'll put a
that's
pin in that.
Facet.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in the Olympic
it ties
training.
into your question, though.
Okay.
Because when someone fears for their life and they feel that the gang is outnumbering them because they are just one person, and when 15 encircle them, maybe it is better to join or pretend like they join until they can go to the FBI and escape to the FBI to be saved. One of the things I do want to recommend, not just to people in the big cities but everywhere, is to definitely be physically fit. It does deter the gangs. For example, I was near the Olympics arena where the LA Rams were working out with me in LA, and it's near Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard there in LA. And when I was walking to the house that I lived in, that the street I lived on dead-ended into the Olympics facility there. I was walking home, and the Rams game had just got out. So they had probably 100,000 people leave the stadium at this time that I'm doing my safety watch as I'm walking home. And so people are leaving in their cars, and some are walking, and there's thousands of people on the street corner where I'm walking down the street to go home. And this one street corner, about 30 guys encircled me and started shoving me and hitting my shoulder. And it was definitely on purpose.
Yeah.
And they were trying to hurt me and trying to intimidate me. To kidnap me, it was very obvious. And so I said, you know what? I know there's 30 of you and only one of me. I said, but I am top in Kung Fu, and I can break your neck with one swing within 2 seconds or less. So maybe I can't take down all 30 of you, but which one would like to be first?
Right.
And get closest to me? I mean, I can break bricks. So the minute they go to grab me, I can break their arm. And them knowing that, it was like the Red Sea parted visually. The 15 went to one side, 15 went to the other, and I walked through safely back to my house. And so I recommend being physically fit and also knowing self-defense, and really good self-defense. There's some out there that it's really not the best. And Kung Fu is one of the best, and unfortunately it is because it does teach to kill in the first or second move. However, you need that type of high-level self-defense skills if you're going to survive in certain areas and you are by yourself and feeling outnumbered. And it did work. It worked for me. And
Isha, Laurah,
you know what?
it sounds like it's giving you confidence.
And I'm not into the Asian spiritual side of the Kung Fu. I'm talking about the exact moves. And, of course, self-defense is allowed. That's why they allow teaching self-defense everywhere. One of the things the gangs try to do is say, oh, you're not allowed to hit someone even if they go to attack you. They try to do that so that no one will defend themselves so they can get an easy victim. But no one listened to that. That's false. The Constitution even still lets us have guns, whether people agree with that or not. And I'm not even getting political one way or the other on that. But the fact that that's still allowed, obviously, self-defense without guns is definitely allowed, and that's a definite safe type of skill.
Yeah, Isha, Laurah, it sounds like it's giving you confidence to walk down the street by yourself if you need to, and to not be worried about things. How far did you go in Kung Fu? Did you go through all the belts, I guess, is how they determine your level of efficiency?
A lot of times they determine level. When you're at the top level, you can break bricks. So I can break bricks. I do have a video of me along the similar genre. It's not me breaking bricks, but it shows my physical strength. It's on my social media, on my Facebook, where I'm at a gym, and it's not far from the office, one of the offices of Senator Tim Kaine, that was Hillary Clinton's running mate. And I'm in one of the gyms working out. I have some pictures with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, one of his sons, and I have some other pictures with his great-nephew, NBA player Chris King, in the area as well. And we helped give out, by the way, side trail here, but free meals like at McDonald's to people at the rescue mission, homeless children, and people in need of that. So we've been doing a great cause, but at the same time, working out at the gym. So when I was working out at one of the gyms, I have online a video of me, and I'm leg pressing about, it's 395 pounds, but they say the equipment also adds about 5 pounds. So it's I think that one might be 295, actually. I want to put a new one up there. But I can actually leg press way more. I can leg press over 400 pounds with one leg.
What?
And my dad was a champion weightlifter, so I guess that runs in the family. But putting videos like that out and putting videos of yourself at the gym, it does deter the gangs and other criminals, because they like the softer target. They don't want to really get hurt.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you say your dad was a bodybuilder. Where was he at?
Yes, and he was a champion weightlifter as well. And So that's why I always had a love for the Olympics. He put that love in me as a child as well. So not just did I have the ballet lessons, but I had swimming lessons too. And I encourage parents to definitely get their kids lessons if they can, because it's so enriching to a child's life. But it can really save their life in the long run as well. Swimming, of course, will help them not drown. But it also gives them physical strength, and it strengthens the core muscles in the stomach, which you really need those core muscles to do more in the martial arts and other sports. So in self-defense, it really helps your balance to have that core muscle. That way, no matter how someone tries to push you over, you can stay on your feet, for example.
Very
because
smart,
your core is
Isha, Laurah.
strengthened.
Yeah, it's good to keep fit and good. Martial arts, I've heard, is not only good for physical fitness, but also to get you more structure and more stability in your mind and your body. And I'm guessing that you've had that experience as well. Now, you say you were training for the Olympics. How far did you get? And were you able to at least be?
Oh, I did win some gold medals in the police and firefighters Olympics.
How nice. Where was this?
Yes, I actually am a military police officer, former military police officer, but my discharge is honorable, which means I'm good.
Hooray,
so,
military police.
Yeah, it means I didn't do anything wrong. So,
can you tell anything about your time as a military police officer, and where were you stationed, and anything interesting that you did?
I can say what's been on the website already to the public safely. Mm-hmm. So with the CIA, we do have immunity, so I could actually even spill secrets, and it's, believe it or not, allowed. But I wouldn't want to.
Right.
So,
I don't want you to get in trouble.
So when I say I can't say, I really mean I can't safely for America say, so I won't.
Right.
So on the website, they did put that our Special Force Battalion did also protect the White House at inaugural. And believe it or not, I did save the world, save the White House at the most recent inaugural. And so all those different presidents that were present there at that as well. So I won't go into too much detail.
Wow, Isha, Laurah, great American hero.
I did uncover a plot to bomb the inaugural. Yep.
I'm sure I'm sure there's got to be truth to that for sure. People.
Yeah, of course, that's one of the main targets anyone would target if they're a terrorist. Unfortunately,
right. With millions and millions of people that are so good, you can have a few that are bad, and that's
I'm
that's
so
who causes
thankful
the
that
problems.
I uncovered the information I did when I did, and I could get that data to the presidents at the time, and so President Trump, President Obama. So yeah, everyone there that was at that inaugural, they love me. I love them too. I mean, I don't always agree with everything, that every politician believes on different issues.
Right.
But like I said, I've learned through the years that since the CIA is an extension of the Oval Office, and it was created to be that no matter who's in office, I just do the best at doing the best for America that I can. And I do believe when we make America safer, the world is safer too, for the sake of world peace, because we are the superpower.
Well, what you're doing is you're respecting the office, no matter who's in it. And that's a good thing that we can do. Being privileged to be a part of this country, that's a good thing that we can do is respect the office and try to help out as best we can and just be good people, And so you were military police just till recently then, for like 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, that I'm actually not going to go into too much detail about, but let's see.
No problem, Isha, Laurah.
I would have to see what's on public record, to see what's already been
like I said,
unclassified.
I don't want you to get in trouble. We can talk about your music career.
Although I wouldn't, but still.
And what we haven't done.
I wouldn't get punished, but I might be reassigned to Timbuktu.
Uh-oh. No, don't want that.
I don't want to do that.
Although Timbuktu, hey, I've heard good things.
Yes, I mean nothing against the area. It's just an expression.
So Isha, Laurah, we've talked about your music a little bit. Let's talk about your modeling career. What kind of things have you done with your modeling career? I've seen supermodel.
So much. Mm-hmm. There's a photographer who is a main photographer throughout many generations in the USA, And although he doesn't get a lot of the attention and applause, he's behind the supermodels and the huge celebrities. And I've been so blessed that I have been able to work with him. I first got discovered by him when I was chosen to be in that movie I told you about, which was the movie I'm a lead role in, Screwball Hotel. I'm in other movies, and I do have speaking roles in other movies and TV commercials as well, but that's the one I'm a lead role in. And after that, I was discovered by him, and I was literally 19 years old, and I began modeling, and I actually took modeling lessons. I went to modeling school in high school as well. So dual enrolled, college and high school, and in the school musicals, memorizing the lines and the choreography for that. And all at that time as well, modeling school on top of that, a separate modeling school I went to. And when he discovered me, so did another photographer that I'm in a movie with him. His name is Robert A. DeStolf, and the other photographer, she's passed away since, unfortunately, God rest her soul. Her name is Bunny Yeager, and she was very famous mainly for being one of the photographers for an old, very, very famous pinup model named Betty Page, way back before I was born. And I was blessed to work for her as well. And so some of the photos are risque, but I joked with my good friend, NBA player Chris King, and I said, I'm telling the public the truth that when I still go back to this top supermodel photographer who's also photographed supermodel Claudia Schiffer back in the day, he's photographed President Reagan back in the day when Reagan was alive. I mean, regardless of political party, just very famous people. Charlton Heston, that was in the Ten Commandments movie, which is a classic in Hollywood. This guy is so amazing. And so when I go back and I do more supermodel photos for him recently, it's just so funny to me that the gangs will still try to kidnap me. And I'm clearly being bait. It's like, guys, I'm just baiting you, right? I just want you to try to kidnap me so I can nail you and you'll go to jail, right? And I tell them that, even online, and they still try. I tell Chris King, the NBA player, I said, I just don't understand the mindset of someone that will still try after they even know I'm dating them. It's like, get smart. Don't do it. And he's laughing, Chris King, saying, but they're still going to try.
Yeah.
They're just that stupid. And I usually won't belittle people by calling names, but that type of criminal, I have no problem calling a name and belittling because their crimes are so horrible that, and it's the fact. I mean, they literally are stupid if they're doing that.
No, it sounds like something that you're very passionate about, and it's something that needs to have some awareness. Is there, you think that slavery is over, and there's still slavery. People get captured all the time, as far as I've heard, and I haven't experienced it firsthand, so I have to live vicariously through you. You've actually seen these things happen, and you've helped to stop them. I am
infuriated with the crime of the sex slavery and the human trafficking that I have witnessed with my own eyes. I have talked to victims that their lives were torn apart by these criminals, and it's unbelievable, but yet it is believable because it's been happening. I never in my life would have imagined stuff like that was still going on today. I thought America had progressed so far beyond that. I am so disappointed with a certain percentage of humanity that is so low that they would do something like that. Some of them don't even realize that it's wrong. They've been brought up by the gangs and brainwashed by them for so long. They literally think they are doing a good thing for America and for humanity. I'm not kidding you. They're that crazy, dangerous, and not crazy in a good slang crazy type of way. I mean, they literally are mentally depraved, and that's one of some of my fellow top-level national security and intelligence told me. They said, what you're looking at when we were looking at these criminals, they said, you are looking at mental depravity. It's so horrible. I worked with the Dream Center, which is a non-government nonprofit in LA, but they tell people that they do partner with the FBI and, of course, with the Intelligence Sharing Act that President Bush put in place in around 2004. The CIA is now allowed to share information with the FBI, which is really good, because before we had to watch a lot of stuff happen when we were spying on America, for America, to keep America safe, and spying on our foreign intelligence to make sure we have real allies and who is not, and who has missiles pointed at us as an indicator of hostility. And so there was some information that because America was not allowed to spy on America before President Bush enacted the Information Sharing Act, we could not even tell the FBI what was going on, and we had to basically just watch and do nothing and just report to whoever was president of what was going on and what he wanted to share with the Congress and the Senate, and they would go from there with making legislation to try to protect America more. But our hands were tied so much. So I'm not saying that I'm one way or the other politically with, like, I know President Bush is, the former President Bush is a Republican. I'm not going into even Republican Democrat here. It's just, thank the Lord, literally, thank you, Jesus, that legislation was enacted by President Bush so that now, for example, when I saw the little boy being kidnapped, I could tell the FBI right away, and the Dream Center has a church there right across the street from that Echo Park I told you about in Los Angeles, where that happened, and I could tell the FBI right away because the Dream Center is publicly known for partnering with the FBI to rescue people from sex slavery, and they actually have decreased crime in LA, in their area, near Senator Kevin DeLeon's office, who, by the way, gives me a letter of recommendation with all of the California Senate. Near his office, one of his offices on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, California, he's kind of been known as the Hollywood senator. But right in that area, the Dream Center has decreased crime statistically 71%. And it's still as bad as what I told you. What I told you happened with that boy being kidnapped in front of my face, that was after the 71% decrease in crime. That's how bad it was before. It gives you an idea. Before the Dream Center stepped in as a ministry, non-government ministry, to help. And so they trained me also when I was there in LA in the past recent years to open my own Dream Center or nonprofit the way they do it. So I know all the ins and outs, from fundraising to advertising to even management and even events coordinating, but also the little things like housekeeping, how to manage the whole housekeeping crews and the kitchen and the chefs and everything, every facet that goes along with having a ministry that big. And my nonprofit, part of my articles of incorporation, do say we don't just aim to help with housing, but we do also aim to help with doing a safety watch. And so that safety watch is included in there, though my nonprofit is not government. It's separate. And we help with, like I said before, education, but we can also help with medical and research. And in Hot Springs specifically, I know one of our problems, for example, is the black mold. Sometimes because we do have such wonderful waterfront real estate, which is fantastic and very valuable. They say because God stopped making it, so, you know, supply and demand, there's no more supply coming, so it's very valuable. And so the flip side of that is with the humidity from the lakes and the springs, there is sometimes a tendency for more mildew and the black mold to build up. So one of the things that my ministry does, and I have photos online already, is cleaning the black mold. Because especially some people, it will make them very sick, like elderly and things like that, some elderly. And I definitely want to help, even in that venue, for free or discounted. Anytime someone gives a donation for any of our services, of course, that helps go right back into the foundation to help more people, potentially. So I do ask, pretty please give to our foundation if you're listening to this. Of course I have to ask that, and I'm sincere. You're really doing a good thing if you do.
Isha, Laurah, it sounds like you have a lot of passions, and one of those passions that's coming through is your love for God. How religious are you, and how do you stay in touch with God?
That is so sweet of you to ask. Mm-hmm. Some people don't like to talk about that subject. They say, stay away from religion and politics. But I say, but when you're a politician, you can't. And if you believe in God, that's like part of your life.
Right.
But I respect others, and I don't force it on them. I am Catholic. I was born Catholic, and I do believe in the Catholic way. And I do attend church with Hillary Clinton's cousins at the Catholic church that her running mate for president for 2016 election, Senator Tim Kaine, goes to that church as well, St. Andrews, when I'm in Roanoke, Virginia. But I also network with other nonprofits. With my nonprofit, I play drums too. So
what?
I play drums at a different church while I'm here sometimes.
So many different facets to you, Isha, Laurah.
It's funny but true. They say if you ever need to get something done, give it to a busy person. Believe it or not, if you think, if someone has nothing to do, they'll have more time for it. But the busy person is busy because they've learned how to juggle and multitask. So they know how to fit that in oftentimes with their busy schedule, or how to kind of delegate it out to someone that will get the job done.
So when did you find time to learn how to drum?
Drums. Oh, thank you for asking. Elvis Presley. The famous Elvis Presley.
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, right? The king. It's funny you should say that, though. I talked to a lady in California, and she asked me about something that led to that, and I said, I studied with the surviving people that worked with Elvis Presley, and James Brown. They were all friends and worked together at times. And she said, who's Elvis Presley?
Oh, my.
I was like, you're kidding me, right? Who's Elvis Presley? He's only like the most famous late, great celebrity the world has ever known.
Right.
In general, one of them. He's definitely among the top with Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, he's in
there.
And
I've also, speaking of Marilyn Monroe, I got to sing solos at her house, the house that she used to own in Hollywood area.
No way. That's great.
Yeah, that was so awesome because I saw a documentary of her life as a child growing up after she had already passed away.
Well, what kind of function was this, Isha, Laurah?
What?
What function was this?
Actually, when I was helping the Dream Center, we had something called Adopt a Block, where we would all get together and volunteer, and we would go out, sometimes 2 by 2. The men would go 2 by 2, and the women would go in groups, and they made me crew leader over a huge group of women. So we would basically walk down the street and just ask people what they need. So the Dream Center is, back to your religion question, too. Mm-hmm. They are non-denominational, interdenominational. So I appreciate that. I do appreciate other faiths. I'm Catholic. However, I respect if someone else is a different denomination or religion, because God made them too, So
right.
He made them important, just equally as important as I am. And so I respect them and their belief system. I do believe that in the Bible, it is very important when people read whatever Bible they're reading, that they need to have common sense, because some verses, just like anything, if you take some information that you read anywhere, if you have the wrong heart, you might commit a crime as a result. And so you just need common sense. And even the Apostle Paul in the Bible said at one point, he said, remember my chains. In other words, he was enchained, he was enslaved for preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And he kept reminding in his writings that he was bound in chains as he's writing this. So he's basically saying, remember, have common sense, because I'm being forced to write this, or whatever is getting through to you might be changed by the time you get it. So I do believe not all of the Bible is 100% accurate historically, but I believe the Bible even says that it's not, even in those scriptures, for example, in the New Testament. in Ephesians and Colossians. And so it's very important to remember that. I'm not saying it's not the Word of God. If it is the Word of God, though, God is telling us in the Word, this is not all accurate. I want you to have common sense. Be humane to each other. You know that golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do to you. Be humane. How do you want someone to treat you? I want them to treat me humanely. I don't initiate violence. I don't initiate even name-calling, belittling, yelling, that type of wrong, horrible behavior. And so I don't want someone else to initiate that on me, or the United States, of course, or anyone.
Isha, Laurah, it sounds like you've had a good base, and be it biblical or not or otherwise, yes, it's good to be good to people. Treat people like you want to be treated. But unfortunately, some people want to be treated terribly, horribly, so they treat each other horribly as well.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I used to think if I just said that was enough and people would understand how to behave. But like I said, the sex slave gangs, some of them are controlled from little kids if they haven't been discovered and saved. And so they literally are brought up thinking that it's good to go out and find more people to sex slave. And it's horrible. But if you say, do to others as you want them to do to you, they have been so brainwashed that they've been actually taught to, some of them have been taught on purpose to like sex slavery because they're not tortured if they cooperate with that. So that's why they like it. And they're taught that because the sex slave ring thinks that they can tell the authorities, my fellow authorities, the FBI and the police, they think that they can get away with saying, well, see, they want to be sex enslaved because they love it. You see, they like it. And you ask them, do they want to be saved? No, they don't. But some of them really are just a victim too, but you can't preach to them, do unto others as you'd have do unto you, because their mind is so warped already that they're going to need a lot of psychological help when they are rescued. And so, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is important. People understand that, and a lot of people listening to me might be in a gang, because I was made famous in L.A. for helping against the gangs, and they didn't like that. And one of the gang members that put a hit on me in front of my face. So in person, I actually heard the words and everything. One of them actually messaged me through Facebook at one time, and it said it was a girl on Facebook, but he said, this is really me. And so he might be listening, and it's like, you know what? You need to give up, because you're not going to like the consequences if you don't. If you're listening, you need to turn yourself into the FBI, and trust me, it is the best thing for you. And if you do that voluntarily, things will go so much better for you. The law will be so much easier on you, because you are showing initiative that you're willing to change. And that's part of the law. It's not just vetting out punishment for the sake of punishment. It's to help humanity change and reform and be better people and learn the right behaviors that are safe for America. So anyone that's in that sex slave ring, please do me a favor. Turn yourself in. It really will be for the best.
Isha, Laurah, you're bringing out some things. What came to me was, that he came to you acting like he was a girl online when in fact he was not. He was a boy, and he was trying to come at you. And people need to know that with this social media, people can misrepresent themselves in many ways, and that was one way that he was trying to get to you. Possibly causing harm to you. And have you had harm caused to you over the years? Because it seems like you've led a pretty good life, and I hope you haven't been hurt. I am
very open about my life. There was times, like I said, that we had to watch and we couldn't do anything but just report to whoever was the president of the United States at the time for him to decide to legislate or to ask Congress and the Senate to work with him on legislation, or her in the future. But in the future now, we can actually do more than just report. We can actually tell the FBI, like I said, and people can actually get arrested even based on my witness, because I am a forensic witness because of my position specifically. And that's one of the things I'm so glad that you brought up more. You pounded that point in more, and I'm glad you did, because people need to know that being online, they really need to stay safe. I have seen people hack in and pretend to be even a person that was my best friend. And now that phones go online, they can hack into smartphones and they can pretend to be your best friend and send you a text. And you don't know you're being set up to meet someone for purpose for your demise. And it's very dangerous. So I encourage people even to talk to people on the phone and in person, although it is very convenient and good to still have our social media, of course. There is a safety balance to that, and don't believe that everyone you're talking to is the person they say they are. And so try to use a lot of wisdom with that. And also, yes, I experienced times where, because we weren't allowed to do anything, we couldn't have someone sent to prison, for example, until they were actually caught in the act. I had to get that close to where someone actually put a knife to me, someone put a gun to me. Ooh. I have had a gun in my face. I'm very thankful to be alive. I've had some amazing fellow national security and intelligence and police officers that have worked with me through the years. And no man is an island. So though I'm very strong and I was able to escape the midst of 30 men and 2 women as they came to attack me, and one was even holding a cigarette to me as if that's going to hurt me. Oh. And I was like, you're kidding me, right? I can just knock the cigarette out of your hand before you burn me with it. I mean, they're not very smart, these gangs.
I'm guessing, Isha, Laurah, that you've had some training with the military police, at least with weaponry of some kind. With the CIA, do you still carry weapons of some kind on you at all times? Do you consider yourself well protected and trained?
Well, with that, I'd say for that question, go to the website.
Okay.
And
which website would that be?
Sometimes the website will say we don't carry, or sometimes it might say we do. So whatever the website says, that's what the Public Information Department decided they want the public to know, and it's safest for America. So. Is
that the website for the Central Intelligence Agency?
Yes, and there is a Public Information Department, and especially, of course, as you know, for media that you can call and verify things with too, and questions like that is more their department specifically, because they're there to answer those specific questions. Mine, I am a public figure in the CIA. However, I don't have that specific desk job where that's my main purpose is to sit there at those desks and answer questions in phone calls and emails on that all the time. So that's why sometimes, like someone came up to me once and they said, if you were CIA, you'd know who I am and everything about me and my social security number. And just some random guy that came up to me off the street. Right. And I'm thinking, what does he think? We're mind readers? I mean, how am I going to know unless I investigate? And how am I going to get that information to investigate with unless I know something about him first? I mean, we're not mind readers. And if he's not my assignment, I would not have a need to know. So no one would give me all of his data, even though I'm sure there is a file on him somewhere on everyone, because we watch everyone for everyone's safety. And now everyone knows that since 2004.
I think he was just being silly, Isha, Laurah.
Yeah, that's very silly. It's not common sense.
Well, let people know how to get a hold of you. I think we pretty much know about you, Isha, Laurah, and how you feel and what you believe and what you stand for. And I appreciate you, Isha, Laurah, for being on the program. Are there any other avenues that you want to explore? You've done so much in this life, and my goodness, we're the same age. This is great, and you seem like
Thank you so much.
Very
nice
person.
I'll answer your question about the contact information first.
Go.
It's Isha Laurah Wright Foundation @gmail.com is my email, and one of them, and that's spelled ISHAH LAURAH WRIGHTFOUNDATION You can also look me up at hashtag Isha Laurah Wright Foundation. And you can write to me at 4 Tortoso, Tortoso Lane, Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, 71909. And you can also reach me at the phone number 501-651-0461. And if I don't answer, no worries, just leave me a voicemail, and it's transferred into a text message and an email typed out for me and sent to me from your voicemail. So it's transposed from your voicemail so that I get your message as soon as possible. And please know that I love everyone, and I get so many messages and text messages from so many different people, and after a while, some of them, if they're just saying, hi, I love you, hi, I love you, hi, I love you, and they don't hear anything back from me, they get offended, and they're like, F you, and I won't say the rest of the spelling of that F word.
Right.
But please don't feel that way, anyone out there, because it really is not possible for me to keep up with all of those messages that I get. There's so many. There's literally thousands that I get like that, and that's why it might be possible, but it wouldn't be the most productive use of my time, nor our taxpayer dollars for my time. So that's why I often will say a blanket message to everyone, say, I love you, everyone. This is what I'm doing today. Much love. So that covers everyone. So please, no one get mad and cyberbully me if they feel I'm not giving them attention. And also, speaking of cyberbullying, it causes so many people to commit suicide, especially our young people, that I really want to educate the public that the national security and intelligence stance, especially the FBI laws on this, is cyberbullying is illegal harassment. It is punishable, and it needs to stop. I know in politics, it's really fun to see the politicians hash it out and Twitter back and forth and belittle each other or initiate what might even look like cyberbullying. That is kind of done in a different venue, and I don't even necessarily approve of people crossing certain boundaries in that. I think we do have to show we are tough as America, and as far as politicians and government, if I do say to a criminal or a terrorist, you better watch out, because if you don't change, it will be worse for you. The consequences will be, that's the law, that protects America. That type of tough is good. But cyberbullying, initiating belittling, name-calling someone else, even to their face in person, but online as well, in public, but even in private, it really is called harassment. It really is against the law. It really is punishable, and it is wrong, and it's dangerous. So it used to be years ago, even when you were growing up, Daniel, you'll probably remember people used to say, oh, don't compliment someone because they'll get a big head, they won't be humble. You know, there was actually a belief system to call people, you worm, you maggot, you know, drop and give me 20. There was a style that was thought to bring out the best in people when it really was not helpful to them at all. It was not helpful to America. It's not helpful in personal relationships. It actually is the contrary of helpful, and it actually can be dangerous. So the stabilizing behavior that is agreed upon even by psychological departments in nationally accredited universities across America, which are right to teach this, it's being taught, do not initiate name-calling, belittling. There's no productive need for it. It only causes harm. It never helps. So the right way, the productive way, the stabilizing way, whether in behavior in government or non-government, whether online or in person in private, is don't do it. Don't bully. Don't initiate bullying, which is also not just physical bullying, but it is the name-calling, and for any reason, don't initiate that. There's no reason for that. Like I said, it's just a very small exception to that, where we do need to show criminals that we are tough. And some really extreme criminals need to really get that message, because unfortunately it is the only thing they will be deterred by sometimes. I wish I could be nicey nice, lovey-dovey, and they would just change like I can be to everyone else. But that's the cruel, hard fact in reality in life.
Oh, Isha, Laurah, sounds like these are words to live by. Build people up. And if you think you have a problem with someone, just take a listen to them. Hash it out. You can talk, man. Don't use your fists. Don't use guns or knives or weapons of any kind. Talk it out. Sometimes you find that you can find more common ground than uncommon ground. People want the same things: roof over their head, money in their pocket, food in their bellies. They're trying to get it in different directions. So you might have a dispute with someone, but if you just talk, I think you can find that you have similar goals. And if you can talk to
them in private without embarrassing them, it's
Right.
very important to try to do that,
Right.
to work something out. If someone really has harmed you, a lot of times, if it is really harmful and it's then you can go to the police, because it is actually a criminal act. And if talking to them does not stop it, the police can. There was, for example, one time I was in front of a building where I was helping with NBA player Chris King, and it was online, and it was center of the square here in Roanoke, Virginia. And a man came up to me, and he began yelling at me for no reason and belittling me and cussing at me and even saying vulgar things in front of children that is inappropriate, and it is unlawful. And so eventually the police stepped in, and I was able to go up to the man. Later on, he started at me again, and I held up a piece of paper. It had his name, and it had his birth date. And I said, you see, the police really are going to back me up, because they gave me this piece of paper. And he looked at it, and he saw his name and his birthday, and the day, the month, the year. And he looked at me, and he went, oh. And I said, yeah, please tell everyone else around here that you know, because I notice you know a lot of people and with similar behavior. I said, please get the word out that the police really are going to back me up on that, because it really is a crime to initiate this type of stalking and harassment. And even if it's not stalking, if he just happened to be there and wasn't stalking me, it was harassment. It is illegal, and it is bullying, and it's not acceptable, and it's not lawful. So if someone is offended and they're not being bullied, so there's not really a criminal reason why they're offended, a lot of times it is important that they look within themselves and ask themselves, do a personal checkup. Say, why do I feel offended? They might have what psychology departments in accredited universities call a fault-finding mind trap or an over-exaggeration mind trap, which means when they are looking at other people and the behavior of other people, they might be blowing it out of proportion in their mind and trying to look to find fault with someone. Maybe they are overcritical inside their heart, so something is wrong with their heart. And they might have even eventually from that an anger problem. So they need to watch that, keep that in check, and change. And like I said, with everything, knowing is half the battle. If they know that, then they can identify that, and it does help people to change.
You have learned a lot. Very wise, Isha, Laurah. I appreciate you so much. And I'm so glad that we have known each other for quite some time, but I really didn't get to know you, and I haven't gotten to know you as well as, well, perhaps in this last hour plus or so. We've chit-chatted, and I've learned a lot about where you came from and who you are and why you are the way you are. You're very passionate about the things that you do, and I can appreciate that. And I'm glad that you're out there protecting the people, amongst other things. Between your supermodeling and singing and acting, you are also law enforcing of some kind and helping people out. Thank you, Isha, Laurah.
Thank you so much. And sometimes people appreciate me and express that, but sometimes I have been cyberbullied even myself publicly, and it's so mean and it's so wrong. And I really feel if people knew my real heart, they really wouldn't do that. And if they knew all that I have risked and given up in the past for their own safety, because I do love everyone, I feel that they would feel much differently about me and wouldn't cyberbully me.
No, Isha, Laurah, it seems like you're trying to do good for people, and right now you're primarily focused on the Hot Springs Village, your Isha Laurah Wright Foundation.
Yes, even when I'm not there, I'm still working for that area in much of what I do.
Do you have people that are working in Hot Springs Village right now, or is it something that you could do remotely?
Yes, I often make it a part of my day or evening to talk to realtors there that are inside Hot Springs Village. I have friends there, and the realtors, we've talked back and forth a lot, and we've been growing our partnership so that if people do want to buy property there, for example, one of the realtors that I highly recommend is David Bowen, is one of the realtors, and I've had a lot of success with him in the past. I have found he is a man of his word. If you want his phone number, it's 501-626-3369. And please mention my foundation, the Isha Wright Foundation, Isha Laurah Wright Foundation, because that does help the foundation. Because if they do buy a house through him, eventually he might donate to the foundation more. And even more real estate. He's found donors of real estate to the foundation, which is so wonderful, and a really great guy.
Now, Isha Laurah, do you want people to connect with you on social media as well? Do you have the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that kind of thing?
Yes, they are definitely welcome to do all of the above. And I would like, of course, parents to keep in mind that while keeping our children safe online, to have those parental controls set. So, for example, some of my modeling is for the prior photographer, God rest her soul, Bunny Yeager, the prior photographer of Betty Page, which is very beloved. It's a lot of people actually feel that it's wholesome, even though it's a pinup, because it's just that genre of America. It's definitely not classified porn, anything that I have modeled for, but some of it is on the sexier side. It's kind of normal for the supermodel genre to require that of the models, and although a model can decline if she so chooses, and that is some of the stuff that I want to teach to more modeling and help out in teaching the arts as well and things like that. However, for example, Facebook allows a 13-year-old to get a Facebook. So something is allowed to be PG-13. So what would be PG-13 in the movies that some people might say, oh, that's kind of risque. It is allowed on Facebook by the FCC regulations, the Federal Communication Commission, and it's not even considered rated R or anything like that, certain modeling. And so it is allowed, but if parents do want to protect their children, don't allow your child to get a Facebook under 13, or if you do, you control it, and put those parental controls on if you're giving them a smartphone, on the phone, online, on the computers. Make sure you have those in place. That way, even if they do a Google search or any search engine search for, even for example, I did a search one time for just the White House. And years ago, when the internet first came out to the public, and when that happened, a bunch of porn came up, and I mean real porn, not, oh, this is PG-13 stuff or rated R stuff. This was definitely rated X, and I was not happy with that, and I thought the person whose computer I was using had the parental controls already. So apparently they did not have them set, because there are people that their entire job for the internet is to label each photo that goes online, whether it's safe for kids or not, and even if it's PG-13, if it's rated R, if it's rated X. So that way, when a parental control is set, the children are protected. I am really proud of libraries that set that, because in the past I've seen libraries that don't, even when a child goes to check out a book, and it might have risque information in the book that it's not appropriate for that child's mind. I've seen libraries let the child check out that book, and the parent is thinking, well, the library allowed them, so it must be fine. And there's porn content that should not be in a child's mind. It's just too early for a child to know certain information. And there's certain information I don't even want to know. So I'm definitely not for porn, even though I do have sexy modeling photos of myself. And even though I'm hashtag top supermodel, by the way, I've been coming up a lot at the top on the photos and the search for the hashtag, which is a number sign, of course, as you know, and then the letters spelling top supermodel without a space in between. And, for example, I went to the library the other day and someone said, hey, it's so good to know the top supermodel, the hashtag top supermodel Instagram star. So I'm lately known as that as well. But at the same time, porn has ruined marriages. I have been in the book, the autobiography of a friend of mine, Erin Bethia. She has a book trailer out, so it's a video commercial for her autobiography, and I'm sitting on the front, I think it's front row, in that, if you look real careful. And I'm even crying. She led me to tears because her testimony is so amazing. And she might not even be the same denomination as me, but she does believe in Christ, and it's an amazing testimony, and she's a well-known actress in movies, especially for her role in the movie Fireproof, which talks about, in the movie, how her co-star has a problem with porn, and it ruins the marriage temporarily, and he has to do a lot of work to save their marriage, and it does become saved in the end, which is good. But so even though I am a sexy model, I'm definitely not for the porn and things like that. I do believe, people are entitled to the freedom of speech amendment. So some adults that, if that's their choice and they're an adult and they choose to look at porn, that's their personal life, Don't push it on me, because that's also sexual harassment and it's a crime, and don't push it on anyone else. But at the same time as I respect their rights, I definitely want people to know that it's not something that I stand for.
Isha, Laurah, Wright, it sounds like you're comfortable in your own skin. And body shaming, hey, that's a form of bullying, isn't it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
No, it sounds like you're very comfortable in your own skin. And if anybody has a problem with that, that would be body shaming, and I'm against it. That sounds like a form of bullying in its own
You're right, it is. Some people don't realize it is a form of harassment. And I am the type of person that I believe our Constitution, that people should be have full disclosure and should be forewarned. I'm not for entrapment. I don't entrap people. I'm not for framing. I won't frame someone. I will refuse to do that. If someone is a real terrorist, they can just go to jail or get the death penalty, I guess. I'm not saying I'm for or against the death penalty. I'm just saying that's the reality in the USA law. So one of the techniques I do use, though, and the FBI loves me for it, and the Dream Center, too, Matthew Barnett, the head there, is I've showed up at church there, and people might think, oh, my gosh, this is so sacrilegious. But I've shown up in a sexy dress, tight and a little low cut, and high heels and everything. And the thing is that we're looking at, is the sex slave gang going to try to kidnap me as I'm leaving the building? But also we look at, is someone going to be so offended that they want to kill me? And so there are people that are a domestic terrorist type, unfortunately, out there, that they get so ridiculous, extreme about being offended at people that show a little more skin, but it's lawful showing of the skin, that it's not porn or anything like that, and it's within, the FCC regulations and that whole thing. But they will actually, there are some people that I've heard will kill a woman if she even shows her ankle, because whatever religion they are, they're just so extreme in it. And that's not what God would want at all. God does not want anyone to murder someone else because they showed their ankle or their dress is too tight in their opinion. So we do find criminals in that way, but that's not, that is me baiting, but I'm very honest about, hey, this is what I'm doing. So if they still have a problem with it, then they have a real problem inside that needs to be changed in their heart and mind. But like I said, that's not entrapment. I won't go up to anyone and pretend to be a prostitute and say, hey, give me $10 and I'll have sex with you, and I'm really just trying to bust them. I'm not a prostitute. I won't do that at all, period. But that is entrapment, and it is illegal as well. So anyone that is in the government doing that is not really allowed to do that, and they need to be much more educated if they're still trying to frame or entrap, because that has been outdated for a very long time as unconstitutional and illegal. So I'm very fair. I give fair warning. It's called full disclosure, and it's lawful.
It's incredible, Isha, Laurah, what you can learn from people. I've learned loads from you about the law and about how to do things in this country. And I'm learning. I've learned a lot about you, about a lot of different things, and I never know where these podcasts are going to go and what I'm going to learn from people. But you've done some things. You're promoting keeping yourself safe by doing self-defense classes and the singing and the acting and the modeling and the CIA, just being a part of the armed forces as well. You've done a lot of things, Isha, Laurah, and I'm very happy to know you. Is there anything else? Any other facets that you want to talk about? This is your podcast for sure.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so amazing for letting me come on the air with you in this podcast, Danielle. And I love your show. I love the content that you put online. I so want to go do karaoke some Friday night when you're doing karaoke with the people and you're posting it. It looks like you're having so much fun. And see, that's positive fun. And there's some people that might be extreme and say, oh, no, it's in a bar. You can't do that. and that's where I just feel like, there's balance in life. And I really feel that God would be very pleased with you and your podcast and your shows and your DJing. And you do weddings. It's amazing. So it's good, clean, wholesome fun.
It is.
And I can't wait to be a part of it in person like that sometime, and I hope I get to. To conclude with your question with that, thank you again for having me on the show. And there is one more thing I would like to cover. I know it's very controversial, and some people don't even want to talk about it or want me to talk about it, but sometimes it's best to.
Go for it.
And in addition to other things that I've brought up in the podcast, that I feel it is best to get out there to the people, the information, and that has been given the green light, so to speak, by the right people for me to do so. There's also, of course, the terrible tragedy when a Caucasian young lady, a girl, was murdered by the KKK. And it's been shown all over national news, and it was in Central Virginia where they killed her with a car running into her. And it's horrible, and a lot of people might not realize, if they've been brought up with that white supremacist mentality, they might not realize it's wrong. But it is a wrong mentality, and that murder was wrong, and there's no excusing it. And not having a permit for her to do an anti-protest is not worthy of the death penalty. And there's no reason that she should have been murdered like that, horribly, in cold blood. It's the same as being gunned down in cold blood, being run over in cold blood like that, using a car as a weapon. And the sex slave gangs, that not all of them are Caucasian, by the way. Some of them are even not citizens, and they're foreigners that have come to the country. And not all foreigners are bad, of course. This, however, running people over to murder them is another tactic that's used by both KKK and that I've seen used by the gangs and the sex slave gangs, some of which are foreigners. So it's not that I'm against all whites. I'm white myself. It's that it's something people need to watch out for when they're crossing the street, especially because although the KKK tragedy was at a protest at street corners.
Where was this
random
again?
Street I'm sorry?
Where was this
Can
again?
you repeat that?
What? Where was this again?
Oh, in Charlottesville, Virginia was the KKK murder.
Oh.
That's been on national news like CNN. And I watch all different news from different viewpoints. I'll watch Fox and CNN and CBS because I like to get a balanced information from all of them. Some might have a slant one way or the other, Democrat or Republican. But I feel like when you watch all of it, it helps you get a better assessment of what's really going on in the country, and by hearing both sides of any story. And of course, it's due process in our Constitution. It's the right to hear both sides of the story. So it's important to give people their rights and hear both sides of their story. And I feel watching different major news and even local news helps people do that. But if they ever go to LA, for example, it's they got to be really careful. But I've seen it actually here too in Roanoke, unfortunately. People, if they target any criminal, there's not as much of it here as far as the sex slavery, of course, but there is some KKK element, unfortunately. And any criminal that uses traffic accidents for murder, people have to be even more careful crossing the street, because you can cross the street as you normally would with the normal level of caution, and they still try, the criminals, some of them, it's their agenda, they'll still try to make it look like you did something wrong, and to where they have an excuse to hit you. There's never an excuse to hit a pedestrian. The driver has to be cautious and not hit the pedestrian. So that's another thing, though, that because I've seen a lot of that in the most recent years, I wanted to make the public aware of that, because a lot of people wouldn't even think of that.
No, it makes a lot of sense to me. I had no idea about this particular incident, but
yeah, and the KKK, they are domestic terrorists, just like the sex slave gang are terrorists. It's a form of terrorism. It's terrorizing human beings, and it's not right. So
Yeah.
We're all equal, we're all important, and we all deserve a chance at the Constitutional Bill of Rights, principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So let us live.
yeah, I'm
Right?
not that familiar with how the KKK operates in its own factions. I just see from the outside, like most people do, and I'm not familiar enough with them, but I think that
In
they get
Virginia,
indoctrined as well to have their own thoughts, and they think that they're doing right as well.
but they are on a watch list because people are allowed to have freedom of speech, so their own ideas, and to voice their own ideas. But if they are harming the public, teaching to murder
Right.
other human beings
That part is
for
wrong.
any reason, for color or something like that, that's inexcusable. It's illegal. It's murder, and it is punishable, and they are on a watch list.
Oh,
So I
it's-
think they should know. Some of them really think they're not. They'll watch certain news clips and think, oh, but the president's for us. And it's like, you know what? The CIA is not. And I really don't think, if you really listen to what the president is saying, whether you like him or not or agree with him on everything or not, I really don't think he's for that either. In conversations that I've been able to have with him, thankfully. And, of course, our former president, Bill Clinton, and Hillary are not for that either. And so I really want to send that message out there, because some people have been brought up in that, especially in some of the battleground states that were in the Confederate battleground. And this is before we were even alive, but their great-great-grandparents have passed it down through the family, this mentality that someone of darker color does not have a right to exist.
Right,
And
yeah.
even someone that's white that believes in the rights of fellow human beings that happen to be darker in skin color and different in other areas. And so it's not an excuse to murder, and actually certain things voiced is illegal harassment, even in the way that they voice that. The doctrine is dangerous, and I definitely recommend everyone stay away from it. It doesn't even make logical sense. For example, we all need each other. God forbid someone was in a car accident and needed a blood transfusion from someone else. Would you refuse if the only person that could give you that blood transfusion and was willing to do it happened to be a different color skin than you are, if it's going to save your life? Of course not. You need that person. We all need each other when it comes down to it.
Words of wisdom, Isha. Isha, Laurah, you're giving me gems, and you're giving the people, the listeners, gems as well. I appreciate that you brought that up, and thank you for that. You've given me something to think about. Yeah, you've given me something to think about for the day, for the week, for my life, really. You're giving me gems. You are, and thank you, Isha, Laurah Wright. I hope we get to chit-chat a little bit more as time progresses and as your foundation grows, and maybe you've gotten some more houses for people that need them, if not just here in Hot Springs Village, but certainly, all over the country. And hey, who knows how far this foundation goes? You could go worldwide, Isha, Laurah. It's possible.
Thank you so much. And we also are funded by the art. So I have art that I've drawn that's online or painted at Zazzle.com. And if you go do a search under my name, Isha Laurah Wright or Isha Wright, a lot of it should come up. And if anyone will do that, it will really help if they want to help. Thank you so much.
Well, now I have to go watch your movie. What was it? Oh my goodness! What was?
Screwball Hotel.
The Screwball Hotel. I got to go find that.
It came out at the same time as when the actor Chevy Chase, for example, was really big with comedies, certain type of genre of comedy, and so it's that era, the late '80s, early '90s comedy genre. It's very, very funny. Some of it is definitely not appropriate for children, though it's not porn.
Yes.
So, of course, I encourage parents to stick with the FCC guidelines on that and not let their kids watch something that the FCC has already deemed not appropriate for the child's age.
Well, beyond acting in a few films, you've also directed some things and produced some things on your own as well. You have several credits on your IMDb, and I know we didn't get into that, but I'm sure we'll get into it at some point. I hope you come back and chit-chat some more, Isha, Laurah.
Thank you so much. And I'm so forward to seeing you in person. Like I say, I'm so looking forward to that.
Well, you're going to be so close. I think that's going to happen.
Yes, I feel like you're one of my besties through the years, just because of the constant contact through the years, and I really appreciate that.
Any last words for the people?
It's fun when we get to do karaoke together.
Yes. Any last words for the
people? As we say in Hollywood, California, what?
Hey, what's your go-to karaoke
You're listening
song?
To radio, what?
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. It's so hard to choose.
Well, I won't make you choose right now. Any last words for the people, Isha, Laurah Wright?
God loves you, and so do I.
Well, there you have it, party people. Isha Laurah Wright, a multifaceted person. She's a great American hero and oh so smart, a brainiac, if you will. Can you dig it? Yeah, I knew that you could. I like people when they can get their smarts and use them for good. She has many, many different facets, different platforms. She's against the sex trafficking. I think I'm against sex trafficking as well. Cyberbullying. Yeah, I'm certainly against that. Sure. If any faction, including the KKK, is against people doing, murdering people. No, I'm not for it. I'm just not for it. I'm going to have to say no on that one. And she's in the CIA, and I didn't even know you could say you're in the CIA. I thought they were spies and had to be more secretive. But apparently there is an Open Information Act that's been around since the late 2000s or the mid 2000s. And I'm very excited that the CIA is sharing information with the FBI, and hopefully they can clean up these towns, and then everybody take care of each other. And the religious aspect of it, the golden rule, do unto others, and just be nice to each other. Do it. I'm all for it. Thank you so much for being on the program, Isha Laurah Wright. Isha Laurah Wright. I'm going to put all her links in the show notes so you'll know exactly how to spell Isha Laurah Wright and find out more about her. I mean, there was so much more that we could have talked about. We could have gone another 2 or 3 hours, and because she has credits on her IMDb, she is a full-fledged actress and director, and she's done so much more than what even we talked about on the podcast. So there's more to Isha Laurah Wright, and I hope that her foundation that she's putting together, that's primarily in Hot Springs, Arkansas, it just takes off and helps a lot of people, find homes and just take care of each other. If there's any way you can help, I encourage you to check out the Isha Laurah Wright Foundation and find out more and see if it's a good fit for you. See if you can help out in any way that you can. All right. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. If you want to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here. Radio What, the music you want, with some great quotes. As soon as you trust yourself, then you will know how to live. Anonymous. The music you want, radiowhat.com. Follow Keys Dan on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of keysdan.com. Follow Radio What on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of radiowhat.com. The music you want is on.